In this video, we are going to learn about the different data types that are available in Apex. The data types in Apex can be broadly categorized into these: primitive data types, collections, user-defined data types, sObjects, and objects. Let's talk about the primitive data types. Primitive means very basic in general. These data types can be found in any of the common programming languages like Java, C# or JavaScript. These data types can be further categorized as strings, numbers, dates, and others. Let's take a look at all the actual data types that make up these subcategories. Strings are nothing but arrays of characters. So whenever you want to store any textual data, you should use this data type. Numbers. These are the actual data types in Apex. Integer. This is a number without decimal point. So if you want to store a whole number, you should use integer. Long. This is a bigger version of integer. Integer is 32-bit while the long is 64-bit. Roughly, for the sake of simplicity, we can consider that integer supports a number which is 10 digits in length while long supports 19 digits numbers. So whenever we want to store a number which is length is greater than or equal to 9 digits, we should go with the long data type. However, in general, integer is commonly used as it suffices majority of the requirements. Double. This is a number data type with decimal point. This is a 64-bit number, which means it can hold a number with roughly 18 digits, including the digits that come after the decimal point. Decimal. This is similar to double. However, this is used to store currency values. Apex treats decimals digits after the decimal point more precisely to make sure that the currency values are not rounded up or down to mess up the monetary calculations. Similar to double, decimal can also hold up to 18 digits, including the ones that come after the decimal point. The next data type subcategory is date. This further has these data types. Date. As the name suggests, this is used to store the date value. A date value will contain information about a day. This doesn't hold any time or time zone specific information. This can be used to store information about birthday or date of joining of an employee in an organization. DateTime. This stores information about both date and time. The default time zone that the value is stored in is GMT. This is in general is used to store event specific information like at what time on a particular day a spaceship was launched by a space organization or a football match is scheduled to be broadcasted on a TV channel. Time. This stores information about the time of day. This doesn't hold information about date or time zone. This in general is used to store time specific information like at what time a shop opens or closes daily or at what time you wake up on a weekend. Now let's talk about the other subcategory of the primitive data types. Boolean. This is a special data type which is used to store either of these two values, true or false. This is in general used to store information of a person's choice. For example, if a contract is active or not, this can be represented by a variable named isContractActive, which will hold either true or false. True value will mean that the contract is active, while the false value will mean that the contract is inactive. The next data type is Blob. This is a special data type which is used to hold the binary information. This data type should be used to collect and store information about files or attachments in Salesforce. The last data type is ID. This is a unique identifier field. Whenever we create records of standard or custom objects in Salesforce, Salesforce automatically generates a unique 18-character identifier for that record. This unique identifier is called as ID. The ID is generally used to uniquely identify a record in Salesforce and also used by the database management system of Salesforce to update or delete a record from database tables. Now let's talk about the other category, which is collections. Collections are special data types in Salesforce that allows us to collect, store, and manipulate multiple variables of other data types by grouping them into special structures. These are the collections available in Apex. Set. This is an ordered collection of data values of the same type. For example, if you create a set of integer, you can store n number of integer values into it. But you cannot store values of other data types in the same set. Apex makes sure that the set contains unique values only. So ideally, whenever you want to collect and store unique values only, then you should use sets. List. This is an ordered collection of data values of the same type. Similar to set, a list created with one data type cannot hold other data type values. Unlike sets, lists can contain duplicate values. Since lists are ordered collection of values, it is a good choice if we want to iterate over a value lists or reorder or replace values at particular indexes. Map. This is a special type of collection that stores data in key value pairs. The keys are supposed to be unique and should be of primitive data types like strings or numbers. The corresponding values for those keys could be of any type. However, all the keys should be of the same type, while all the values should also be of the same type in a map. Maps should be used to store data which is high in volume, and we need to access it without iterating over all the values or elements in the map. For example, if we want to collect and store information about employees, we can create a map where in the keys we will store employee IDs, while for every key in the values we will store the employee information like name in the string format or data type. The next data type category is user-defined data types. As the name suggests, in Apex we can create our own data types. How? Let's take a look. As we know that classes in Apex allows us to store data through member variables, we can create classes that will only have member variables. Now, as we can create n number of variables with all the possible data types in Apex, we can create any data type of our own. Here, in the image showing on the screen, you can see that a class is defined with its variables of different types. By creating instance of this class using the new keyword, we can create n number of objects of this class, which ultimately is a user-defined data type. Now let's talk about another example by which we can create a user-defined data type. In the image being shown on the screen, there is a class which is inside the main class. This class is called as an inner class. Inner classes are also well known as wrapper classes. The example that we saw previously is called as an outer class. So, just to conclude on the user-defined data types, using the concept of outer and inner classes, we can create n number of user-defined data types in Apex. The next category of data types is sObjects. sObjects mean Salesforce objects. As we know that database tables are called as objects in Salesforce, the data rows or records are stored in objects. In Salesforce, there would be either standard or custom objects. The data types in this category are used to represent records of these objects in Apex. The first data type is standard object, which represents the standard Salesforce objects like accounts, contacts, opportunities, etc. Using the dot notation, we can refer to fields of these objects as shown in the image. The next data type is custom object, which represents the custom Salesforce objects that we have created in a Salesforce org. For example, we created a custom object employee, and the API name of this object is employee__c. Then using the API name, we can create an instance of this object, and using the dot notation, we can refer to its fields as we did for the standard objects. The last data type of this category is generic sObjects. These objects are used to dynamically create instances of either standard or custom objects in Apex. Using the methods get and put, we can retrieve or assign values to the fields respectively. The image that appears on the screen right now shows how to create sObject instance, how to assign values to different fields, and how to retrieve those values. sObjects is an advanced concept which can be used to write generic Apex codes where we dynamically create records of different standard or custom objects. Now, The next and the last category of data types actually is a data type itself, the generic object. Object might sound similar to sObject, but it is not. Object is the base data type in Apex from which all the other data types are derived. So, an object can represent any other data type that we have seen so far in this video. This data type is used in scenarios where we are not sure what data type we will need to create or refer to in our code. Object is useful particularly in dynamic Apex codes where we receive response from other Apex methods where return response data type could be of any type. The image showing on the screen demonstrates how we can use objects to hold any data type value.
If you like this video, please do like and share. If you want to receive more of such informative content, please hit the subscribe button. If you want us to make content related to any Salesforce or Salesforce related topic, please do let us know through comments.